Hey Denchbags, what's going on? It's LandonRemixes here, and welcome to the 14th edition of Rapid Fire Reviews, the series where I talk about albums and EPs that I didn't really have enough time to do full reviews of. And in this case, over the last month or so, I've barely had any time to record reviews. As you've seen, my content's been pretty slow lately, especially slow in the last week. This will be the first video I've uploaded in an entire week, but hopefully this video will kind of make up for it because I'm talking about a lot of different albums that you guys have been requesting over the last month or two for me to do. And hopefully it'll be especially cool because I'm recording this on my new Canon camera. I've been using a Sony Bloggie for some 6 years now, which is just absolutely crazy, so I decided I finally needed an update, so hopefully there will be a significant change in quality. I know I've been needing a new camcorder for some time now, and I'm finally using it. Like I said, there's just been an absolutely insane amount of albums and EPs I've missed over the last month, so I decided it would be best to just compile them in an absolutely huge rapid-fire review. And by the biggest rapid-fire review ever, I really mean it this time. I'm going to be covering 17 different albums and EPs that I've missed, of which I probably could not catch up on for the life of me because there's already new albums coming out, and I feel like with the list I have coming after this, I'll have a more realistic schedule to do things, and I really needed to get some of these thoughts and opinions out, especially because during November and December I'm going to start uploading my top 10s and year recap videos, so I want to have time to upload those while also getting out my regular reviews. This is probably going to be the most literal rapid fire review I ever do, just because I want to talk very, very briefly about each album and EP, trying to limit it to probably 2 or 3 sentences on each thing. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'll be real, I'm a big fan of Bastille's work, but I didn't like this album at all. I especially like them for their heavy use of metaphors and Greek mythology that was found on their debut album, Bad Blood. The overall sound of Wild World is generally pretty similar to that of Bad Blood, but that aspect of it has basically been stripped away, making Wild World to be a generally pretty disappointing release. The production on this one is actually pretty stellar, but Aluna's vocals get really tiring just a few tracks in. If you like future bass but you aren't a big fan of the more festival sounding side of the genre, you'll probably like this EP a lot. The main thing to take note of on this album is the absolutely crazy number of well-known guest appearances that Big Gigantic featured on this one. Definitely not a bad album per se. I think Big Gigantic takes a lot more influence from trap on this album than their last one. It's respectable, but I didn't really love this album. GRiZ didn't do much on this album that he didn't already do on Say It Loud. Was kind of hoping for some stylistic changes like Big Gigantic did with their album, but that just didn't happen. Probably one of the best compilation albums I've heard this year, but I'd still say there are a lot of hit or miss tracks. If I had to give a few favorites, Old Days, PSA, and Work That. Big change in style for Gemini on his debut album. Really liked a lot of the singles leading up to this album, especially Time to Share, but the final product just wasn't really doing it for me. If you want music like the Stranger Things soundtrack but in studio album form, I think you'll dig this one a lot. A surprisingly hard EP from Matzo, a little more experimental than his Self-Assemble album. It's pretty short though, but I guess that's to be expected when he just dropped the full album, so I can understand. There are no thieves on this EP, but that's okay. Elephante, I thought, had a pretty unique take on Big Room House in terms of his production, but I'm kind of sad to see him step away from that. Went into this one with kind of the same expectations I had for the last Black Tiger Sex Machine album, and I really ended up only liking Touchdown. Pure ambient bliss. I had never heard of Vapor Trap before this album, but I'm hooked. A couple really great tracks on this EP, but I still have nightmares from the absolutely disgusting We Got You music video. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this edition of Rapid Fire Reviews, and I'll see you later. Peace.